Okay, hello, welcome to those of you joining the call and those of you who are going to be listening to this as a recording. I think first and foremost, I'd like to wish you all the best of health at a very strange time. I appreciate that cricket doesn't seem like it has very much of an importance at the moment. However, it is really important that when cricket resumes, our cricket network is ready and able to cope. And I think hence why we're going to have this call. If I can just make sure that everybody, there's a little bit of interference, but if you could mute your microphones, that would be really helpful, please. I apologise, this will be quite one way. However, at the end, there will be an opportunity to ask some questions, and I'd be grateful if you could type those into the chat box, and then Alex Jopling, who's on the call, will monitor those and we'll have a go at answering them. And I'm hopeful that Neil Higginson, our Regional Funding and Facilities Manager, will be there as well. So the majority of this call will focus on funding and financial support available to you. But I just wanted to give you a quick update on where we are, what we know so far, and then get straight into some of the support which is available to you as cricket clubs. I think it's probably safe to say that most people keep up to date on the Devon Cricket website. 7 of our staff have been furloughed as part of the job retention scheme, which leaves myself and Alex Jopling, who will be your point of contact for any support you're looking for. Plus, we've got Claire Coleman, who looks after all the finances for the cricket board, and we've still got some administrative backup as and when we need it. Our role is to support you, and I'm very grateful to all of the 79 clubs that completed the Club Impact Survey. That's been really useful, and we're really grateful for your feedback. In the email correspondence that I'd sent out to clubs, we highlighted 3 big areas. One, obviously, is around the financial implications of the coronavirus, which we're going to try and address today. And those things that you really listed, I'm hoping that we are able to give you some support with in the next 20 minutes, but obviously over the next few weeks. Those were utility bills, rent, machinery, maintenance, affiliations, match balls, all of those major expenditure you have. I believe that we can try and find a solution for you and help you through this period. And then out of the club survey, also the implications around managing your facilities, security, maintenance of the pitch were very important to you. And then finally, and what was really nice to see, was the amount of feedback around your concern about player numbers, keeping them engaged. And those 2 themes, facilities and player engagement, will be things that we will try to continue to support you with through all of those social media outlets that we've got there, through the Devon Cricket website. And I think providing people feel that this form of information is valuable, we will run another webinar to try and address some of those other key areas. I don't think it's a secret. Everybody knows that the announcement was made to suspend cricket until the 28th of May, specifically around the professional game. And I think from the announcements on Thursday around the extension to the lockdown, I think an educated person would be able to say that it's highly likely that that again will be extended. You've heard it a lot, but all the decisions that are being made within cricket are all guided by the government and all around medical and scientific evidence that's available to us. In March, and this is quite important for cricket, Parliament passed a bill to suspend sport, which does mean that we cannot get back to playing cricket until the government passes a bill to allow us to do that. Hence why the ECB are in regular contact at quite a high level in government at the moment. So I don't want to teach cricket clubs to to suck eggs, and I'm sure that many of you have been doing this at the moment. But I'd like to sort of get into some of the things that, as clubs, you can have a look at trying to do to try and support yourselves and reduce your expenditure. And I know that, having spoken to a lot of clubs, you're a long way down this road and have already taken measures to reduce your expenditure. But I think it would be very sensible to look at some different scenarios based on those sort of three potentials around a partial season, a highly reduced season, and then no season at all being the worst case scenario. And I do think that we as administrators and people involved in the game need to have a relatively positive outlook, because I think that rubs off on our player numbers and player engagement. So I think it's really, we need to try and strike an optimistic tone with what we're looking at, but obviously we need to be well prepared and have some contingencies. I've listed a couple of utility bills, TV licenses and subscriptions that you can speak to your suppliers about, around cancellations, around reductions in payment. There are some fixed costs to those, we do know that. But there are things like Sky Sports, for instance. If you did have a Sky Sports subscription, you're not paying for that. You can take the option to not pay for that if you go online. You can get a rebate and cancel your TV license, and having a conversation with your utility companies around your usage over this period would be a very sensible position to take. And speaking to a colleague in Somerset, there have been occasions and little anecdotes of breweries have been honouring returning unopened stock. Now you'd have to work with your brewery direct, and I appreciate that Tolchards, one of our sponsors, are a large supplier to our clubs, and that may not be something that they are able to do. However, each club has an individual contract. I would suggest you had a quick look at whether or not there's anything you could do there, because there will be a lot of stock in your bars, if you have one, which may sat there for a little while. Obviously, insurance, I wouldn't waste too much time for you, but if you did have business interruption insurance, it would be worth looking at it, but I don't think that that's likely to bear much fruit at this time. I think the next 3 points I've made there really just around, don't rush to do anything at the moment. Appreciate that there are immediate concerns, and I'm hoping that we can try and address those a little bit later on in this presentation. To assist you with your planning, with your club, the Sport England website called Club Matters has some very good information and planning tools on it. I'll just quickly open the Club Matters site, and I'm hoping that you can see that page when it comes up. But this is their sort of coronavirus club support, and there are templates for business continuity, things to be able to secure your premises, and some other important links to some of their funding. That's a really good source of information. So I will send this information out to everybody, but that again is on the Devon Cricket website should you want to access it. That's what I think, some of the things that clubs can be doing in preparation. I'd like to now move on to some of the things that what we're going to try and be implementing across Devon, then look at what is available from the government, then what we can get out from support from the ECB. And I'm hopeful that we will have covered a lot of the issues that you've raised with us through the survey. Okay. With all of this financial support, it's really important that it is seen as keeping the lights on in your cricket club. Sport England received a number of applications early on when their emergency grant scheme started up for capital builds and extensions, etc., general projects. That's not what a lot of these funds are for. Please ensure that you're looking to try and make sure that you are maintaining the club's future, not really looking at new projects. Just some general stuff. We as the ECB specifically, will look to support the clubs in the most need. If you are able to manage, please do so. It's really important that everybody understands that the game does not have the finances to prop it up every part. We will need to prioritise getting funding to those most in need. That said, I do believe when we go on to some of the things in a moment that there is good support for all clubs out there, and we will look to try and prioritise the correct support to you. So what's happening within Devon? Just very briefly, the Devon Cricket Board will not be charging you for your affiliation this year. You will have a 12-month affiliation holiday, and that will be a saving of anything from £25 up to £185 for your cricket club. In addition, we've been working really closely with all of our other organisations and leagues. So I'm pleased to say that DACO, the Officials Association, will be giving you a 12-month holiday on your affiliation, as will the Groundsman's Association and the David Shepherd Cricket Trust. So there's immediately some outgoings which you would have had last year, which you will not need to be able to budget for this year, which is hopefully a small amount but helpful. The Devon County Cricket Club will hope to be able to get some more information from them in the next few weeks. And I think what I am really grateful for is all of the leagues that have been working really closely to try and all with the common purpose of trying to support you. Those top three leagues are probably our three sort of bigger leagues with more going on. And I know that next week they will be looking to make some announcements, but they're taking a very proactive approach to try and support you as cricket clubs. I'm going to let them make sure that they correspond directly with you with that offer. But I'm very positive and optimistic that what you'll get is some real support from your major leagues, and that's a real positive thing. So thank you to them, and I think hopefully you'll see that as a benefit. You can see there that we've engaged with the Plymouth and District League, and they've agreed to roll over any subscriptions and boards from this year, or work on a pro rata basis for the following year. And then your youth leagues, I'm yet to pick up with South Devon. That's not their fault, that's mine. I've been a little bit snowed under. But I'm really pleased to say that the other three youth leagues are going to again waiver an affiliation holiday, and your East Devon Youth League will not be charging your clubs for their cricket balls that they ordered this year. They will take the financial risk, and they're able to do so. All right, so that's some of the support from within Devon, which is available to you, which I'm keen to make sure that everybody knows about, and more information will come out in the next few days. Okay, I think it's no secret that we would want as many clubs to utilise the government support as possible. Now, I'm not going to go into all of those areas of support that they're offering businesses. There is a document on the Devon Cricket website which has been circulated. I just want to focus on the small business grants and retail hospitality grant scheme. Before I do that, just a quick note, and I'm sure people picked it up in the news, but the job retention scheme for furloughing of staff has been extended by another month until the end of June. So if there are clubs out there, and there are clubs who have had to furlough professional staff, there is some further support which will be extended. But as I said, I want to just very quickly, or not quickly, I want to go into a little bit more depth with the business support grants. Okay, so, and Alex and I have had lots of correspondence with lots of clubs with regards to this availability. To Alex and I's knowledge, 75 clubs that affiliated to us last year, we believe are eligible for either a £10,000 grant or a £25,000 grant. The key to being able to receive the grant is that your club must have a rateable value and be registered with your local authority. Now, local authorities each individual one of the 10 are more and less proactive than each other. So in West Devon and Plymouth, some clubs have already received their grant aid. In others, they have not yet received their letter inviting them to make an application. So if you haven't had anything yet, don't panic. What I would suggest is that you contact your local authority because they do have a different system in each one, but contact them about your eligibility to be able to make your application. Some authorities are a paper-based application, which you can email. Others have an online portal. Again, Alex and I are there to help you if you need some support on that. Again, on the Devon Cricket website, in a specific small business grant area, there is a link to your local authority to the specific page where you can make your application. All right. Now, this list is fairly extensive, and I'm not sure that you will all be able to see it on the size screen that you have. But from the research that Alex and I have done, both through the survey that you completed and through the government website, we believe that all of those clubs, so I think there's actually 74 clubs on there, are eligible for either £10,000 or £25,000. However, if your club is not in that list, don't panic. Please contact your local authority to inquire about your eligibility for one of those grants. And again, Alex and I are there to help you. So please make contact with us and we'll do our utmost to try and make sure that you are a beneficiary of that. And I think it's safe to say that we are really keen to know that you have received some support, because we will need to prioritise our grant funding from the ECB. And if you've been able to access some government support, you know, that will really help you. Okay, questions. If anybody's got any questions, pop them in the chat box, please. We'll try to answer them. Alternatively, email Alex and I, and our emails are at the end. I'll just briefly touch on a Sport England emergency fund, and we have been told that it is an emergency fund. It is really around keeping the lights on in your cricket club, being able to pay rent, emergency costs, your insurance. It's a relatively easy application form, and you can apply for £300 to £10,000. And you can look at retrospective losses that you may have made through the month of March up to date, which is nice and helpful. And they will also fund some core staffing costs, which perhaps can't be met by other funds that we've already highlighted. Okay, I appreciate I'm going through this relatively quickly. Again, it is recorded, and I will send out the presentation to you. I'm hopeful that everybody on this call would have received in some way, either through correspondence direct from the ECB, or potentially through the Devon Cricket website or through our social media channels, information around the ECB's new emergency support scheme for clubs. Okay. The first one to look at, and one which we think will be probably one of the more popular, is the emergency loan scheme. Yes, it is a loan. It's important to highlight a few things. The first payment of your loan will be deferred for 12 months, and you will have 3 years to pay back that loan. All right. So depending on the amount that you take out, you know, will depend on the repayments you make. And what we're looking at for the majority of our clubs here are that they've got a relatively high turnover, about £15,000 or more. So therefore they have the ability to repay a loan, and also their governing documents enable them to be able to take out a loan. We have got there all of the things that it will fund. There are some things that it will not fund. and they are loss of forecast income. So any potential income in the future, that is not going to be funded. Purchase of non-essential goods, and then any other expenditure that the ECB doesn't deem as essential. Again, I use that term again, it's around keeping the lights on. So they will fund things that are going to be able to continue to enable the club to exist in the future. Again, that is a loan. The application is all done online. It will be approved by Alex or I, and the links to that are available through the ECB website and the Devon Cricket website. There are guidance notes on the Devon Cricket website for you. Please read those. This may be of interest as a top-up to potentially one of the government grants that you've been able to receive. If you still have a shortfall in your expenditure for this year. But again, that is a loan that may be worth having a look at for you. Secondly, from the ECB, we have something called a return to cricket grant. And I think it's fair to say that we've already stated that there isn't a huge amount of grant money available. So this grant money will be targeted at our most at-risk cricket clubs that either are unable to take a loan or would be at real financial risk if they had to repay that loan. It is also available for our cricket leagues. And I think it's, as we've said before, some of those leagues are taking a bit of a financial risk to be able to enable you as clubs to continue to go about your daily sort of business, albeit rather differently. The eligibility and the evidence that you need are pretty much the same. You need to be affiliated, you need to have insurances, tenure, etc. Not going to go into all the detail, but all of that information is in the guidance notes, which you can download off those two websites. On the previous slide, you would have seen the amounts that you can have for a loan. Here you can see the sorts of numbers that you're looking at for a grant: £1,000, £2,000, or £3,000 if you're a club with a junior section. Excuse me. I appreciate I've sort of gone through that relatively quickly, but I don't want to take up too much of your time. It was really a quick update to try and give you as much information in a short period of time around the financial support which is now available to you. What I'd be grateful for is over the coming days that if you have any questions, you need some support, you contact Alex or I, and we will be able to support you on a number of areas. If you feel that you are unable to take a loan, you will need to speak to Alex or I about a return to cricket grant, and we will then make an assessment of whether your eligibility, whether we believe that that's the right thing for you, and then we'll be able to furnish you with an application. But again, I would say this is for our clubs that are at the most risk, okay? So just to summarize, and then I'll try and pick up some questions, or Alex and Neil if he's on the call. Please do what you can as a club. Do what you can around reducing your expenditure, looking at your financial scenarios around different start dates, if any, around the summer. Please consider the support available from the government initially. We do need to make sure that if clubs can survive, we target our grant aid elsewhere. So far, it's my belief that we've seen the best in everybody, the best in people. We've seen some great stories. I really don't want to see any sort of profiteering or anything like that happening within the game. We really do need to try and look at the health of cricket across Devon, whether you are a club with one adult team or you are a big club with 13 or 14 sides. Everybody has a place within Devon Cricket. We need to ensure that we support everybody as much as we possibly can. As always, stay in touch with us either through email, the websites, all of our social media, and just a heads up really that after this week, we'll start planning and looking at support for you as cricket clubs around keeping your players engaged, how we can try and keep them on the radar so that as and when cricket is back out on the field, we've got teams who are raring and ready to go. I'm just going to have a quick look now at any questions that I can find. Okay, so we've had some good stuff there around Sport England, and I think some of the major information coming through seems to be that Sport England have had quite a lot of applications. Out of about 1,000, only 130 were from cricket, so there is still an opportunity for us to have a look at, support from them. There's nothing else there, so I'm not going to keep anybody any longer. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate your time this morning. Please stay well, keep up the effort, stay at home, protect the NHS, and look after yourselves. Thank you all.